to say that I'm
Sorry, you guys, I forgot to turn the recording on. Now we're on.
thanks.
So sorry.
No.
Introduce yourself and let Raheem introduce himself as if we're just starting.
Yeah, well, Teresa, I haven't really had the pleasure to really talk to you much, but I'm Gabby. I have been involved with UNNC for about a year now, a little bit over a year. And so just learning the ropes and learning from Laura and Raheem and everybody else that's been on the board for a long time. Raheem, if you'd like, you can. I think everyone knows you, Raheem. You get around.
Doing it around a little bit.
And Raheem is with children today, so by himself. What a trooper! So, he'll be in and out. But I think that's it. Unless anyone else has anything else to say, any other comments? All right. So moving on to the next item, the Communications Committee brand and logo updates. So I know that I'm aware that we've had group meetings for the last couple of weeks since we last talked about this item at the last Communications Committee meeting, and basically have really taken into consideration everything that we heard from our board members and have realized that there needed to be some alterations in terms of like presentation and what we want to really convey to our board members. And we have also, and Raheem, feel free to jump in, but we've also sort of requested from our graphics team to perhaps come up with new ideas for not necessarily new ideas, but ideas that for logos that resonate with the things that we heard. So we are exploring that right now, and we'll come up with a new logo design by, we're hoping by October, our next board meeting, but that's still TBD. We're still working on it. We're still trying to synthesize everything that we've heard so far to be able to really create the logo that we want. We also heard you on our photography. So we've requested from our photographer to go out into the neighborhood and get a little bit more, diverse photos of our neighbors, and more in-action photography that really captures the day-to-day lives of our neighborhoods. So that is all in the works right now, and that's what we wanted to share with everybody, is that we're definitely, we are looking at every single component of the presentation. I know that we've heard, more diversity, more inclusion, and more, I think, in my opinion, more empathy and, conveying more of the values in our photography. And so I really, I'm excited to see the final product. So our team is hard at work right now, and that's what we wanted to share. And Raheem, if feel free to jump in. Raheem's been more in the weeds than I have, so if you have anything else to add, please go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing to add is that we're planning on having our presentation ready for the October board meeting. So that's it. A couple questions. Go ahead, Teresa, then Laura.
Thank you, Raheem. I don't know if I conveyed this last time, but the presentation that you guys did was lovely. I mean, I know I threw out some things, but just overall, it was a great presentation. You guys executed it well. What you were trying to convey came across, even though it wasn't what I was hoping for, or not what I was hoping for, but what I would like to see, like more historic stuff and stuff. You know what my comments were. And I just want to say that from the start, that I don't know if I conveyed that last time, but it was a really well done presentation. Also, I'm not sure I'm understanding what Gabby meant when she said come to the board. Are you going to present it again to the communications team before it's then brought to the board?
We're going straight to the board on October, I think, 7th.
Okay.
October 7th, yeah.
Pardon me? Did you say something?
Oh no, I was confirming October 7th. Yeah.
Okay. And what are you going to want from us at the board, Raheem? Are you going to be asking for a vote?
Yeah, we're gonna have the board. We're gonna present the presentation, which will include some either one or more than one logo option, and we'll have the board vote on that.
Okay, you guys are welcome. It's your committee. You can do whatever you want. I would advise you to bring it to communications one more time and see if there's any additional feedback and then do that. But if you want to do it that way, that's fine.
Yeah,
Okay, but then you know that whatever the consequences are, you have to deal with the consequences of that too, because if they don't like it, then it has to come back. But
yeah, of course.
my follow-up question is, I don't know, I didn't see any of this before, and maybe it's not part of the way you're doing your presentation, but are you providing any information on the financial costs of completing this, of, updating the website or all of the changes that you would like?
Well, there's no implied cost in the presentation. Like the presentation doesn't have anything about like, we need to update X, we need to reprint business cards, we need to, the presentation isn't necessarily about getting into the weeds of that. I think the idea is to like, let's all agree on the identity of our brand, which includes may or may not include a new logo. And then kind of go from there. We can kind of figure out a timeline as far as like what makes sense to kind of to roll into the new look if it's approved. But I don't know that it makes sense to plan that far out as far as a switch over before we even get like approval on a new look.
Okay, I just didn't know how it worked. Like if you were like, okay, you guys like this plan, so this is how much it's going to cost to do this, and this is tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 if we go, or this is a 3-year plan, the 3-year rollout plan. I mean, are you expecting it to happen this year?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think what we have had conversations about a lot internally is how to do this affordably. Digital rebrand is obviously way less expensive than a physical rebrand when you're talking about, I don't even know what's out there that's physical anymore, but if there's stationery or pens or t-shirts or hats or whatever, then costs definitely start kind of increasing. But the beauty of being kind of in the virtual world that we're in is that there's a lot of affordable ways to kind of get a new look out there if it's on the website or our social media handles. That's kind of the very affordable way to do it. So
one of the things we talked about yesterday, 2 days ago in the in the outreach, some different ideas about how to reach our stakeholders. And if we're going to move forward with that, and there are a lot of different ideas thrown out, people are going to come back, and then if we're going to have a new logo, then that's going to have to be on the whatever printed material we have, so that if we don't approve that, then we may have to delay possibly doing the mailings. Greg and Chris and Kinney Heights and Harvard Heights want to do a mailing to their constituents, then something has to happen for the slow streets, some canvassing or handing out something to the people in Jefferson Park slow streets. I'd like to do something for the avenues. So this is all part of the outreach that we want to try to do in this next fiscal year. And if we're going to budget for that, and also the executive committee is going to be talking about what kind of funding focus we want to have for this year. If part of that is going to be updating our communications platform or, all that stuff, then it would be helpful if we had some idea how much that's going to cost, that whole thing may cost.
Yeah. And see, I think like what's hard to maybe wrap all of our heads around is that we are, we're not even like a nonprofit organization, really. Like we're just like a community organization, right? And so there's an ideal way to do things for sure. And like if we were in working for a for-profit company, I think things are done probably in a more ideal way where things have that kind of like, you shut this old logo off and turn this new logo on and have this whole thing roll out. Sure, that's the way we'd love to do it. But look, if Chris and Greg want to do some mailings, I don't think they'll be ineffective if they go out with our current logo. Ideally we would wait for the new logo, but I wouldn't ask any initiative to be held up on our rebrand. So again, yeah, I hear you.
Okay.
But I think like we're trying to like just really get to the nuts and bolts of who we are as an organization and define that. And part of one of those many components is just like the logo look. And so we're trying to just like hone in on that and figure that out. Once we kind of have approval there, then we can say, okay, look, we can do this a cheap way. We can spend $500 and we can do X, Y, and Z. If we want to get t-shirts printed, here's how much it would cost. If we want to get stationery made, here's how much it would cost. But it's like we're doing things one step at a time here because of the nature of our organization and kind of our resources.
Okay, and then I just have
Yeah.
one last comment. Sorry, I know
Yep.
Laura's waiting. The neighborhood council congress is coming up. I don't know if you've seen the email on that, and it's a couple of Saturdays. But one of the breakout sessions they have is on outreach and not just doing flyers and t-shirts and pens. I don't know if there's so many classes, and I want to try to do things that focus on the avenues, but I did mention it to Lizzie, and I'm not sure what anybody's doing, but I'm not even sure if you're going, but if you are, that might be something you might want to look into.
Oh, cool. I appreciate that.
Just throwing it out there. Okay.
Thank
Thank you
you.
very much, Raheem.
Absolutely. What's up, Laura?
Okay, so a couple of things. I'm going to take my hand down. So I'm not troubled bringing this to October 7, and I'll tell you why. The November board meeting will be oil drilling. So it'd probably be better if we can get this done in October to not have it at the same on the November 4th meeting when we're going to be talking about the Murphy oil site and a new case. And, that my crystal ball, which is never very good, is that may well be a long discussion and maybe even contentious. So, I'm okay with October. I think, I feel like I'm a broken record, but if the new logo and color groupings retains our current colors while adding the new exciting color, then we don't have as much of a problem with the mix and match of existing materials and then new materials, and eventually it migrates only to the new. But so that was why I was hoping you guys could somehow add that sage green. Now, what I really want to say is I love this presentation and got very excited after the meeting and thinking, this is not just an internal meeting to our board branding presentation, but we really, once you finish this, because it's a lot of work, I'd like to see it expanded, take the logo part out, and make an actual standing presentation that we have. Who is UNNC? What is UNNC? Where is UNNC? I mean, you've got such a really good start on a.
You mean like a template, PowerPoint template or something like that?
Well, I mean, I don't know exactly what I mean, but here's what happened. I got into a different set of weeds and started going out and looking for photos, lots and lots of photos. So I have about 50 now that I didn't want to just share without telling you I have them, but of many, many, many different things in UNNC, people and some places. I mean, some were my photos, but not very many. But I mean, ranging from, Raheem, you probably know the artist Stephen Irvin. I think he's a neighbor of yours. He's a fairly mid-career African-American artist whose studio happens to be on one of our properties. So he's one of our tenants and family's a longtime friend. But I have a photo of him with his 94-year-old mother. And, you know, and I know we're talking about diversity and he's African-American, but it's just a really wonderful photo of younger, he's not young, and seniors. And, but beyond that, I just have gathered a lot of photos, and what I would like is permission to do a Dropbox and share with you guys without saying you must use them. And not necessarily, I mean, I have way too many photos for you to use in the branding, the presentation we're working on, but I feel like if we had something like this that was embedded in the website, so we could direct people, oh, you don't know about UNNC? Take a look at this. So I guess it'd be a PowerPoint. I don't know, but I really have grown very fond, if I'm saying that right, I'm just very fond of what you started, but I feel like it can be even bigger, but not for a board meeting, because it'd be too long. So if that is okay with you, if I share all these photos, because I just didn't want, I don't mean on the Zoom meeting, I just didn't want to shove them at you.
Yeah, no, I would share them with us as soon as possible, because we're actively working on the next iteration of the presentation. So it'd be good to have sooner than later for sure.
Yeah, no, yes. It's just, I didn't even want to start doing it for fear that if I had done it and then shared, and you guys would be pissed off at me for being a control freak.
Yeah, it takes a lot to get us pissed off.
Right.
More than you
think. But let me just tell you what my approach was. I just started thinking, okay, we have some beautiful churches. We have the Underground Museum. What kind of photos are there? What about the Mid-City Cookout people? Let's take a look at what they have. We have a bunch of, we have different Buddhists. Let's take a look and see what they have. What about the yoga people on 27th Street? And they have a wonderful photo of their spiritual leader. And this is, so that's what I was doing, just sort of thinking about who are we? Well, the Athletic Foundation, do they have any photos? Which unfortunately they really don't, because they have such a broad mandate. But that's what I started thinking about. And these are not necessarily photos we're totally allowed to use, but probably most of them are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it'd be great. We'd love to take a look. So please share away.
Right. So that's my input. I think I haven't yet gotten an answer on the new demographics. And I don't know that you have to have a slide in the presentation about our demographics, but I think it's informative. So I'm trying to get that answer, because I know the information was shared with the redistricting commission. I mean, for sure, by census tract for our area and every other area. So, I'm still trying to get it and send it on to you, but not for the presentation itself, just to, so we all understand who our stakeholders are.
Yeah, it'd be good to have it anyway. Good info.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Yes, please send those pictures as soon as you can. Thank you.
Okay. And anyway, and I just want to say again, I really love what you guys are doing. I do.
Yeah, thank you. We love it too. And like, I think the input that we got just kind of really forced us to kind of have a new perspective and a new breath with the presentation, which it's been cool to kind of re-explore it and kind of reshape it. So we're looking forward to showing it on the 7th and kind of seeing what happens.
So Teresa, is that okay with you, that they go ahead and do it on the 7th?
Oh, certainly. I mean, if Raheem thinks that he's going to be ready and he feels confident, and he wants to bring it forward, sure.
Yeah, and it's less about feeling confident. It's more just about like, this is something that we have been spinning our wheels on now for several months. And like, there just has to be like an endpoint. There has to be a stop sign, or else this is an exercise we can continue on for, months, years.
My only concern is that if you may bring it forth and then there may be additional comments, and then you force us to vote, and then it may not go the way you want, because people might want their comments incorporated somehow. But I'm totally fine if you bringing it forward. And
and I think there's just a point where a committee, like, you'll get to a point where you can just kind of feel you need if the board is either going to trust you and your vision or not. And like, if the environmental committee is working on a project for like several months, and they have an idea for something they want to do that they've been like researching and working on, then like there comes a point where I think that you should give that that group of people that autonomy to kind of like do that thing and not like kind of mess with it. So you know, like that's my unique perspective on committees and autonomy. But
Right, Raheem, I totally agree with you in that from that perspective, because if I did a lot of work on trees, which I have been doing, and I'm losing my mind on it, and then I bring it to the board, no, most people on the board though are not gonna, they're not as committed to nature and trees as I am, you know what I mean? But to our image, to how they view the UNNC, they may be be a little more opinionated, but I'm totally fine. I mean, I feel confident that we can move forward.
Yeah, I mean, I think and opinions are valuable and great, but there just comes a point where you can't, you know. Anyway, where opinions just have to kind of fall away and let work proceed. I think, but that's just maybe the optimist in me. I don't know. We'll see.
Right.
So I'm all good to go, Laura.
I'm good with it being October, because I should also mention that at November we will have we have some pending vacant seats, and so we will be having some candidate interviews and appointments in November. So
wow,
I know
anybody I know.
Yeah, Carla Raleigh already. Yeah.
Not entirely surprising, but okay.
Right. Well, she seems rather good-hearted, but having some issue. I mean, do you actually know her?
No, I don't.
Yeah. I mean, it's disappointing, but she's trying to get through some stuff in her personal life, and then has agreed to help on the project that Teresa knows I raise my hand for, which is how to outreach to tenants. Well, you know, you have an idea, you can't assign it to someone else, but she has agreed to try and help on that once it, whatever that means, is redefined, because her passion is tenants rights and stuff. So, but that's one, and there's probably a couple of others. I mean, you know, you can look around the Zoom room and see who hasn't been there, as it were. So but the point is, those are never short sessions. Even if it's only one candidate in the end, people still want to ask questions of the person. So
yeah.
So so between that and oil drilling and whatever else comes up that we don't yet know, I'm real good with this being October, frankly. So, and okay. Are we done?
What else is on
Facebook? I think you have something to do with Facebook.
Oh yeah.
Facebook just a little fun.
That's your item, right?
Well, it's ours in general, but because of we had a little glitch that is now resolved with a receipt that Facebook had billed on the credit card, but it turned out to be Instagram. And it's fine now. They aren't asking any questions, but they did reject the clerk rejected a different funding request, which was for the hard drive that we got for Teresa to use, that we hadn't voted on in advance. So in an excess of caution, I would like us to just simply vote on, what was the language? Funding for Facebook booths, although it should be Facebook and Instagram, as needed for general outreach, so that if they ever ask, hey, do you have a BAC on this? We do. So that's my thought. So we're already, we're spending what, $5 to $10 a month, if that. So, and so this is not project based, meaning if we come up with a project, a candidates form that we're not doing, but like when we agreed to do the Council District 10 candidates forum and we budgeted money, that's different. This would just be like what you're doing all along. This one should be boosted, or that post should be boosted, that you do here and there incrementally.
Okay, can I make a motion that we increase Facebook and Instagram funding as needed? Is that the correct language?
Yeah, it would be funding request for $150 for Facebook and Instagram boosts as needed for general outreach.
Okay, I make that motion.
Okay, and I'm gonna sort of copy it and then give me a moment. Because I'm gonna second it, but I think I need to post it first. And does this seem like the right amount of money, Raheem?
Yeah, I was just looking
100
through I was just looking through the receipts, and I mean, it's kind of hard to tell because there's a lot of other stuff kind of mixed in. But yeah, I mean, we
It's like
boost-
$6
we'll post,
here,
like,
$7
$5
there.
$5 at a time. Yeah,
Yeah.
the bigger ones are for event stuff, but
Well, the event stuff has to be separate. That would be voted on with an event. Right? I mean, if we do
yeah,
Walk on Washington, part of the budget, I'm semi making that one up because we might be able to do that this year in the spring. If we do it, we would part of the budget say $200 for Facebook. So that'd be separate from this. It'd be part of that budget.
yeah, it'll just be another thing and like track it as such.
That'd be hard, but it'd be okay.
Yeah.
It'd be okay because when I'm in the funding portal, it just asks what it's for, and then I can upload the BAC as needed. So see, in other words, you don't need to track it. I track it in the credit card. What was this for? Because you saw on the receipts it says what it's for.
Yeah.
If you
But it's 150, right, Laura?
I'm sorry. 150 is what I
$150,
wrote.
right?
Yeah, I wrote that,
Okay.
but is that a good number?
I mean, I'm looking back at like a specific week in
Mhm.
it was October 2020, and where we were like very active. We had like several meetings that week. We promoted several meetings that week, and it was like $5 a boost, and we did 4 boosts. When this one week we spent $20 on boosts.
So should it be 250 for the rest of the year? This goes through June 30. Well, actually, this would go. It would go through June 30.
Yeah, I mean, we can always reauthorize like more money, I guess. But yeah, so I mean, whatever. I guess 150 for now is fine, and we'll just if we do get super active again on boosting days, and we'll kind of relook at what we're spending and maybe asking for more money.
Right, and I am being very. I said this to Dolores yesterday. I'm becoming a fiscal conservative, and she well, I'm not going to say exactly what she did, but she basically said, don't tell anybody that because it does sound so wrong politically, but I don't mean it politically. I mean, we just have so very little money, but I also mean that the clerk is on us now. They're just asking questions. I just want to be fine. So, So if that motion is okay, it's been moved and seconded. And then Raheem, I know you got a text from Dolores, and then we're trying to figure out what form I fill this out on that I'll ask you to sign to make the request at executive committee. And we're just getting too bureaucratic, but it is what it is. So if the motion passes, I'll figure it out and just have you sign it.
Okay.
So
Sounds good.
do we want to vote?
Oh, yeah, so let's take a vote. I vote. Can we just do it by acclamation or by hands?
Yep.
Okay. Gabby, can you give us a verbal yes, I guess?
She gave us a,
You gave us
here we
a-
go.
Okay,
Okay.
and Jasmine too.
Okay. So speaking of projects to boost, I'm just going to give you guys 2 heads up. Raheem, I have the approved copy. I'm going to send it over tonight for the website. Do you need to see it for the Mark Riley Thomas coming to the homelessness committee next Thursday, which Teresa may not know about. But I've got the final little press release blurb to go on the website, and it's been approved by Dolores. So can I send it, copy you and send it straight to Ann and Doug, or do you want to see it first and then you send it to them?
No, you can send it to them. We'll probably adjust the copy for a
Oh,
social
please,
post
God,
for that, so.
yes, this is rather ponderous and a little longer than you need.
Mhm.
And then the environmental committee has a little project that's not, it's emerging, but not emergency. There's a new ordinance. I think you got it, everybody on the board got an email today reminding us, but it's the skip the stuff ordinance. And it's all about reducing waste. It takes effect on November 15. So we have a little time, but we talked at environmental committee about kind of doing a little campaign around it, an environmental campaign around it on Instagram and Facebook. We haven't figured out exactly what, but Elizabeth wants to not chide people who are being bad and wasting and using too much plastic, but instead looking for some of our local businesses that are good, the good guys, and showcasing them something. And I think you already know about one of them, a coffee vendor who's at the Wellington Square Farmers Market. She lives on Bronson. She said she thinks you did I don't think you did. She thinks you did a Facebook post about her.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh,
I
what's her name?
think she's wrong. I don't, I mean, she said, you know, the
Or what's
guy,
the name of the business?
it's Cafe Calais,
Oh yeah,
CAO.
Cafe Kaya. Yeah, oh okay. I know them, but not because we haven't done anything with
But
them that way.
anyway, it turns out that she uses her lids and the coffee cups are all biodegradable. And even the straws, which I'm glad I know because I can't drink from them, the straws are made out of avocado, which I'm allergic to. So now I know I have a new thing. I have to ask vendors if they say, oh, we're all natural, to make sure I know about the straws, because that would be bad. And but anyway, so Elizabeth's idea is that we promote some of the positive, not the negative, but we're just working on it. We're just conceiving it. We'll have another conversation in October. So we're way ahead of when this would happen, which is November.
That's cool. Yeah, and I wonder, because I know that Chris and Hugo were trying to figure out some stuff for their whatchamacallit committee.
Economic development. Yeah, this would kind of intersect a little.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, we've been wanting to figure out ways to highlight some of our businesses, so that'd be a really cool reason to do so. What's up, Teresa?
So that might be another $4 or $5 out of your budget for boosting. Teresa has her hand up.
Thank you, Laura. Rahim, I also want you to know that Charlie Papp is also working on this plastics and plastic reduction element of the environmental committee. So, and she has some comments, and we'll be working directly with Elizabeth and the rest of the people on the committee to conceive of some kind of outreach program for that, for the reduction, for this plastics reduction thing.
Yeah, and this is a good reminder. I think Gabby, what we should remember to do at our next meeting. I know several months ago we talked about how people can kind of get in touch with us. Or remember that form that we created, Gabby, for people to, like, if they need materials created, we should probably recirculate that and kind of just go over the process for how people can kind of come to us if they need like materials created or whatever.
Yeah, because one of the things I suggested.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Okay, sorry. One of the things I mentioned to Charlie was to find out if the city already had a logo or something like that, instead of burdening you guys with creating something. But if there's a process for that, I think that would be great to remind everybody to to let us know. Thank you.
Yeah, and it's no burden. It's kind of cool to kind of take something and make it our own if we can too. So yeah, that's all great stuff to hear.
Well, actually, the city, by the way, I will send this to you. The city does have a little bit of a logo-y thing. It says skip the stuff. I'll forward this. The city of Los Angeles taking on plastic pollution, and the background is plastic forks and knives. So I'll send that to you guys, and somehow if we could add UNNC to the artwork somehow. So, but we're not launching yet. I mean, you know, it's a little early. The reason I think the whole board got this email today, because it looked like it went to UNNC at empowerla.org, because there's a couple of meetings about it next week and the week after. So, okay. Yeah, and I don't know what's best. Is it best when we know something like this is coming up to get one of you guys to come to their meeting? I mean, Lizzie was at the meeting, or do they need to come to a communications meeting?
For what?
For if any committee is coming up with a project that would seem to lend itself to promotions.
Yeah, they should just
better to
email
invite you to them or them to you?
It doesn't even need to be like as
Send
formal as
to
a meeting.
us,
They can
no?
always just like
Just-
email. They can
Yeah.
email what they're doing, and if we want them to come and talk to our little creative team, we can like do that. But
Yeah,
that's what I think. What do you think, Abby?
no, I agree. I mean, it would be impossible for us to go to every meeting and catch every project we need to work on. So,
Yeah, and
Yeah,
like we
I
don't want to
think
get
it should be
bogged down
to us.
in like we don't want to get bogged down in like the actual. We don't need to get bogged down in the actual project. We just need to figure out how to promote it and market it to our stakeholders. Two different functions.
Right. Okay. And obviously some of the stuff we've been doing lately, oh, right, the housing element, there's no, I don't think there's anything we should be promoting about that, even though it's really been, I don't know, Teresa and Jasmine can weigh in, but I feel like it's been a great collaborative experience for neighborhood council members and stakeholders. But I don't know what hey, UNNC wrote a 16-page single-space letter of comment about the housing element, and our ideas were really good. I don't think that's promotable. So I don't know.
Not in that way for sure.
No, I'm just exactly. Okay. Anyway.
Was it 15 pages though, Laura?
It's still a work in progress, but it is 13 pages without the preamble. Yeah. It got
Wow.
long. But the point is, I'm well aware wonkiness is not something we promote. Even though that is in some sense who we are.
Yeah, and it's not that we don't promote that. We just find a way to promote it to the audience that would appreciate that.
That's so nice of you to say it that way.
There's
Yes.
people that appreciate a 13-page document about housing for sure.
Well, actually, you know, I've been making jokes, but the truth is when we finalize this letter, which will be no later than Tuesday night, it is probably something we should put on the website, not on Facebook and Instagram, but anyway. Okay.
Yeah, it's cool to hear that there's so much stuff happening, and definitely excited to kind of get our little team involved in letting people know about all of it. So.
Okay, doke.
Anything else, Gabby?
No, nothing else on my end.
No? Okay.
So Gabby, I hope you can come to the board meeting. Oh, you will be at the board meeting on the 7th, right? Because it does seem that we do need the presence of committee self-nominating committee co-chairs or chairs. Seems
Okay.
to be the way it really is going this year. So since you're gonna be there anyway, hopefully you can be there at that point and say, I, Gabby, have really want to be the co-chair, like I've told Laura multiple times, but I'm telling the rest of you now. Okay?
Okay.
And okay.
You did talk to her about that, Raheem, right?
She was, yeah,
mentioned
Gabby
it
was
to-
just not
I was
able
asking
to be
Raheem.
there.
I was asking
Us.
Raheem.
I mentioned it to her.
Okay,
I mean, I
thanks.
think I sent an email to both her and Laura, mostly just about how ridiculous I thought it was. It wasn't there in person for that.
Okay, well, okay.
I mean, I think, yeah, my own personal opinion. That's it.
I'm just saying, Gabby, this time I hope you can be there so that it's just handled. So,
Yes,
Yeah.
I will be there. I wrote it down to be there. So,
okay, thank you.
mhm.
And,
Yeah. Thank you.
okay,
All right, unless there's anything
Yeah.
from Jasmine or Rosie or anonymous call-in user, then I think we'll adjourn the meeting, huh?
oh, wait, I do have one other thing. I still am walking around with that flash drive, you guys, Raheem and Gabby, with last month's Zoom recording. Just tell me which
Oh,
house to
okay.
drop it off at, and
Yeah. Actually, I can come by on Tuesday and pick it up. I'm going on vacation for the weekend, but I can come by Tuesday
okay,
to get it for you.
cool. Because
And
it's in
then
my
what
purse. Gabby had
because
wanted
Teresa
the,
has,
oh, go ahead.
Teresa has all the other Zoom meetings on that hard drive still, right? Or on a
Yeah,
hard drive?
she
I
has this
have-
one too.
But has
No,
there
I
been a
have
conversation?
the one I have, Raheem, if I understand correctly from Laura, she put, and I did a quality control check on it from the very first Zoom meeting through August the 5th.
No,
So-
no, I went all the way through, whatever the day was, I
Okay.
handed you the hard drive, it went all the way through then.
Okay, September the 5th, whatever it was.
Yeah.
Whatever day I
And-
picked that up.
And then,
It was-
sorry, have you had a conversation with Anne or anybody else about how we're going to get them on to anywhere?
Yeah, yes, here, well, it was only the governing board that we were gonna put on, so that is the other thing I do need to ask. So I did, and I said what the executive committee wanted to do is post the governing board Zoom meetings on our YouTube channel. And then
Mhm.
he responded by saying, we have 2 YouTube channels, and it's like, do
He
we?
dug.
He dug. And so I don't think under the new social digital media policy, whenever it's adopted, that we could have 2. Is there any way to merge them into a single one?
I'll have to talk to him. I'm not even aware that we have 2. I know we have one that I started like 3 years ago. I don't know about
Yeah,
another one.
we do have 2. He sent me both links, and then I thought, ugh, we're not supposed to have 2. I mean, in other words, neighborhood council rules, probably only allowed to have 1.
Okay.
But
can you send me
take a-
those 2? Because I'm curious to what the
Yeah, I'll
second one is
forward
now.
you that email. So it may be that he set up one and you set up one.
Maybe.
But let's
Okay.
have just one. And then the idea, he said it was no problem, just can't have, which one does it go into? And it's like, oh no, we must have only one. So I will send you that email, and then we don't need to move Teresa's hard drive over there because I have a second backup hard drive, and I can lend them that. That has the same information.
Well, all right.
And there you go. Okay.
All right, everybody.
Are we ending the meeting? I'm always the last to leave.
That's it.
I was just waiting for somebody to say the meeting was adjourned.
I was waiting for Gabby to say that. There you go.
I just like to wait till everybody has signed off, and then I end the meeting.
Okay, thank you very much,
Thank
you,
Gabby.
guys.
Raheem, nice seeing you again. Good night, Jasmine.
Good to see you guys. Good night.
Good night.
Okay.
Good night, Jasmine.
you
Good night,
guys.
Rosie.
Good night.